Hey there, and thank you for listening to the Dream Center Peoria podcast. Dream Center Peoria exists to impact families living in poverty, starting with kids and youth. If you want to learn more about what we're up to at the Dream Center, you can find us online at dreamcenterpeoria.org or on social media at Dream Center Peoria. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank you for joining us today. This is Andy King from Dream Center Peoria, and during this time of so much uncertainty, so many people working from home, so many things going on in our city, nation, and the world, we wanted to try and just keep connected with you guys in different ways, perhaps bring some of our friends along on the journey as well. And so today, I have the privilege of talking with Chuck Tate. Chuck Tate is the pastor of Rock Church in East Peoria, but more than that, Chuck is one of my closest friends, and it is great to have you with us today, Chuck.
Hey, thank you, Andy. It's so great to be with you, mate. The only one I call mate is you, but seriously, I'm honored to be on today.
Oh, no problem. Just give us a bit of a background of Chuck Tate and who you are, what you do, church, connection with the Dream Center, things like that.
Sure. I am a husband to Annette for 23 years. I have two awesome kids. I have a young girl, Savannah. She's in high school, a son who's in 6th grade, and they're both doing e-learning in this exact moment. My wife and I planted Rock Church almost 23 years ago, and it's been a great ride. So published a book called 41 Will Come 3 years ago. So God is good.
Good, that's good, mate. Just tell us a little bit about your church, what you do. Obviously, things are a little different at the minute for many churches. Some churches were set up for this type of thing, some weren't. But it is great to just see the church stepping into this season. I'm a big fan of using things that culture will gravitate to present the gospel in many ways. And so this is just one of those things. I know for some churches it took them a bit off guard. Were you guys good with the whole online thing, that type of stuff?
Sure. Well, I mean, Rock Church, we planted Rock Church to really extend a hand to those who don't feel comfortable in a traditional setting, those who have been chewed up and spit out by the church. So not just unchurched, but de-churched. And of course, now every church is contemporary. Our vision, our mission has always been 4 words, same message, different language. We're not going to mess with the message. We're married to the message, but we'll date our methods. In other words, we're willing to change our methods in order to reach our target audience. And that is one thing that we've never strayed from is that we want to communicate the gospel with love in a way that people can understand so they can respond to it. And now, because of what's going on, we're forced to literally create a new method, and that's virtual church as of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I was listening to a message. I've tried to do things a little different during this season. Obviously tune into my local church that we're a part of, but then I've tried to then tune into another church, may not even be from the US or the country that you're living in, and just try and experience church completely different. And this week I tuned into St. Pete's church, which is in Brighton in England. And the pastor was talking, and he talked about the scattering of the saints in the book of Acts. And when everything happened in the upper room, then they came out, and now there was a scattering of the saints. And for a lot of it, it was because of persecution within the church. But I really feel like we're seeing a scattering of the saints, a Monday scattering of the saints, where people are in their homes. I know we can't invite people into homes now, but I really feel that there could be a movement of that. And even with what we're doing today, and through technology of the Zoom meetings or FaceTime meetings, and I'm seeing small groups connect. I think it's going to be a way that we can actually move the church forward even after this time of closure.
Yeah, amen. In fact, Hebrews tells us, don't get out of the habit of meeting together for worship. Instead, encourage each other all the more until that day approaches when Jesus returns. And that looks much different right now. We're having to encourage each other through Zoom, through text, through, picking up the phone and calling, but we still need to meet. Obviously, the church is not limited to a building. Really, you're the church, I'm the church. The church is a group of people. We know that church was God's idea, and we still have many opportunities to advance the kingdom through social media, even when we're isolated in our own home. In fact, Jesus said that greater works will we do than he did. And I believe one of the greater works that we get to do that he couldn't do is use technology, use social media. He could preach to a mountainside and hit 20,000 people at one time, but you and I can do a podcast, and we could have people in different countries watching and listening right now. That's the power of using technology for good.
Yeah. And, the good thing about it as well is I think coming out of this time, I really feel our gatherings together when we gather as a body are going to be even more, just more rich. There's going to be more of a hunger to get back together, and there could even be an uprising then of people wanting to get to physical church, not so much the building, but together with people. And with what we do at the Dream Center, obviously, we don't have a church service, but what we do is bring people together to be able to impact the city. And the reason why I had you on, Chuck, was not just because you're a great friend, you got an amazing church going, but during this time, you are preaching on a series called For the 309. And it really intrigued me. We're all in this together. And I just felt like it was something that people that are connected with the Dream Center could really hear about. Can you tell us about that series?
Sure. It all began with inspiration from a book that I read back in October by Jeff Henderson. It's called Know What You're For. And in this book, Jeff says every church, every organization, every company needs to ask these two questions. Number one, what do you want to be known for? And number two, what are you known for?
Oh, that's good.
If those don't connect, if they don't intersect, we have work to do. So for us, I mean, as soon as I read this, it just resonated within me. And I'm like, man, this is it. So often the church is known for what it's against instead of what it's for. So we want to communicate to our community that we're for them, not just our church, not just for those who gather under our roof, but we want to communicate beyond that. We are for them, because with same message, different language, we feel we've done a great job at creating an atmosphere that loves people unconditionally, accepts people who they are. We allow people to belong before they even believe, right? However, we feel like we could do a much better job communicating to those outside of our walls that we're for them. So I knew back in October, man, this is going to be our year. This is going to be our word for the year. We are for the person in front of us. And really that is what the book is all about. So we picked that up and we're running with it. And in the book, Jeff Henderson gives out his phone number and says, hey, if you have any questions about this, call me. And or text me. So I did. I texted him. He texted me right back because we wanted to find out, okay, what's our hashtag going to be? Hashtag for, is it for Peoria? Well, I'm like, you know what? Dream Center is for Peoria. Love Peoria. We're in East Peoria. However, we're beyond city limits. So more people associate us with Germantown Hills than even East Peoria. We have a lot of people from Washington. I mean, if I was Connect Church, I would use the hashtag for Washington, right? So we're trying to determine what is our identity going to be. He suggested using your county. He's the pastor of a church called Gwinnett Church. Gwinnett is the fastest growing county in the Atlanta area. So their hashtag is hashtag for Gwinnett. And before they even put up a church sign on their building, when they were building, they broke ground and the bank said, hey, put up a sign, coming soon, Gwinnett Church. They chose not to put their church name on the sign. Instead, they simply put the hashtag for Gwinnett. And they began to use all of their social media to communicate to Gwinnett County that they were for them. They would feature businesses and people and sporting events and activities and different events within their community. And then they would use that hashtag for Gwinnett. So before that building went up, everybody drove by and saw, hey, for Gwinnett, what's this? And when it finally said Gwinnett Church, everybody knew, hey, that church is for me. So in communicating with him, I said, hey, we can't use our county, Tazewell County, because we're on the border of Tazewell County and Woodford County. We're right over the bridge from Peoria County. We live in a tri-county area. I'm stuck. What do we do? Hashtag for Central Illinois. That's too long. He said, hey, how about your area code? I'm like, man, that's it, 4309, because that's not just for Rock Church. As pastors and as leaders, we all live in the 309 community right here. So let's communicate to that community that God is for them and we're for them, because it's going to be hard to communicate to somebody in front of us that we're for them if we don't believe God's for us. So that's right. We laid the foundation this last week that Romans 8:31, if anyone be against us, who cares? God is for us. And because he's for me, then, hey, Andy, I'm for you.
Yeah, right? That's good. That's good. That's good. And just a few years ago, we did an event that really launched something for 60 days. And I feel we're still seeing things from that. An event called Love Peoria, where we brought Bob Goff in to speak, and 2,300 people showed up at an arena here in Peoria. And we just shared a little bit about what Dream Center does and how we try to impact the community, especially targeting families that are living in poverty, with kids and youth, and how we can really come alongside the family to really help them. But we felt we had to go beyond that, and so we did this event called Love Peoria. And Bob Goff came in. He is like the best at this topic. If you have never heard of Bob Goff, you need to definitely check out his books. But at that night, you guys were inspired a little bit. Can you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We were inspired a lot. And let me just say, I'm so pleased with Dream Center and so inspired by the work that you're doing, the impact that you have, the impact that Dream Center has on Peoria. Is you can't put a price tag on that. And I'm just so grateful that we live in a community that we can send people to Dream Center, that we can be intentional. And we need to be more intentional about sending people to Dream Center, to be the hands and feet of Jesus, to serve. So first of all, man, props to you. Thank you for all that you do in raising the funds and meeting with key leaders in the city and loving the city well. So
thank you.
I always tell people is, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. I mean, as a pastor, over the years, I've had a number of people come to me, approach me and say, hey, pastor, we should start a homeless ministry, or we should start some ministry that tutors kids in the inner city, and my response is always, go serve at the Dream Center. All right. Team Jesus is alive and well. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. They have already established, they need people. So let's roll up our sleeves and let's go serve the Dream Center. So we put a team together and came to Love Peoria. And obviously we were excited to see Bob Goff, but what really inspired us the most was just two words: Love Peoria. What can we do to communicate to Peoria that we love them? So our office manager, her name is Catherine, and she has a ministry that's called Random Acts of Hope. And that ministry consists of just handing flowers to people. She is a florist. She makes flower arrangements, and she has people help her, and they just give out flowers, whether it's a nursing home or it's a hospital or a random individual in the church or outside of the church. She just, follows the Spirit, whoever he directs her to, she gives flowers to, and it's blessed so many people. The last few years at the Marigold Festival, she's had a booth where she just handed out 1,000 flowers. Well, after Love Peoria, we knew, okay, we got to do something. It's one thing to show up and have a good meal and laugh at Bob Goff and be inspired by you. But now, what are we going to do with all of this, right? We have to do something. It's more than just gathering for an event. We have to go out and be the hands and feet of Jesus. We need to show Peoria we love them. It's not good enough to say we love them, right? We've got to demonstrate it. So I knew that Catherine, her heart, she wanted to hand out 5,000 flowers. So I approached her. We were in a staff meeting, and I said, hey, why don't we partner, Rock Church, Random Acts of Hope, and let's love Peoria well. Let's hand out 5,000 carnations for Love Peoria event, so because of the Dream Center. So we printed cards and put the DCP logo on there, and it said Rock Church and Random Acts of Hope on one side and Dream Center Peoria on the next, said your Love Peoria logo. And we picked a day where we have 3 weekend services, a Saturday through Sunday mornings. We canceled our Saturday and we invited people out Saturday morning. And 50 people showed up, and we worshiped, we prayed, and then we dispersed and handed out 5,000 flowers in the Peoria area.
It was so good. And I remember that day because there was a Christian comedian in town. And at the beginning of his show, and he does this at every city, but at the beginning of the show, he would have pre-recorded a car ride with him and another comedian through the city that they're at. And to be honest with you, they were just ripping on Peoria. All the negative that you could imagine, these guys found that out. And to be honest, for someone like me who, is mad about Peoria and what's going on, not just by the Dream Center, but a city as a whole, here I am, like, Mr. Peoria at the time, trying to get people to really get involved with Peoria stuff and love Peoria and all this stuff. And then this guy comes into town and starts ripping it apart. And I'll be honest with you, there was a point in the comedy act that he was doing at the beginning. Oh man, I was fuming, mad. And but then something happened at the end. There was he was driving. He came to a stop in the parking lot where he was at, and this little kid just knocked on the window, and he took the window down, and this little kid handed him a coronation. What you were just talking about, the flowers, and it was the day that you guys were doing this, and I had no idea you guys were doing it, and he's, it's all on camera, and he's looking at the flower, and then he's reading the card, Love Peoria, what is, the Dream Center and the Rock Church, and he then was like, we take everything back. and it just showed me, like, you can always do a negative slant on anything. But to be able to come in and for you guys to live out the Love Peoria message, not just come to the event, but then live it out in some way or other, was just incredible to see. So I appreciate your leadership there, Chuck, but also being able to really get the church out of the four walls, which has always been our heart. Our heart has always been for the Dream Center to be a place where people can come and impact families living in poverty, starting with kids and youth. But how do we do that? Well, we have to be this like epicenter for people to be able to come from different churches and businesses, different backgrounds, families, single folks, whoever it is, they can come, and in all the different ways that we have at the Dream Center, with their strength, they can then step into something and volunteer. And that's the key, is finding something that someone feels like is a strength in their life, to be able to then step into volunteering within that strength. What we have found is if you place people in the right place, they don't walk away easy.
Amen.
They get a passion for it. And so again, I appreciate you sending people from the church, and I know that God is going to be working with these two amazing organizations, Rock Church and Dream Center, to do even more for this area, to present Jesus to this dying world. So Chuck, I appreciate you coming on. And where can people find you, find the church? Someone may take that challenge up about popping onto another church to listen to. Where can they find that on a Sunday?
Sure. Right now, I'm hiding in a hole, in a bunker. It's concrete, and I have my canned goods. And no, I'm kidding. Is that too soon? No. So they can find us. Well, my website is chuckytate.com, and our church website is rcpeoria.org. And I'm on social media, all the platforms, Chucky Tate. And then obviously we have our church page is facebook.com/RC Peoria. So it's really easy to find us. And I just love the fact that Team Jesus is, I've said it already once, but I'll say it again, alive and well. And I saw one of our pastors on our staff sent me a meme yesterday, and I tweeted it. It's from Mark Driscoll, and he tweeted, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but it's a picture of Forrest Gump, but it's a meme. And it says, "And just like that, we were all televangelists." Right? Because everybody, the church is shining right now. It really is. I mean, we're all in this together. Dream Center, the local church, the global church is shining, and is really more people are receptive to the gospel right now because of this coronavirus than ever before. So, props to the local church, the global church, to Dream Center Peoria.
Hey, thanks so much, Chuck. It's been great having you on. And again, stay connected with everything that's happening at the Dream Center. Just go to dreamcenterpeoria.org. You find all the information out of some of the things that we're having to adjust a little bit. Our homeless shelter is still open 24/7. We have a lot of needs with that, as you can imagine, just from staffing 24/7 all the way to everything from cleaning supplies and cough medicine, all these different things that normally aren't a big deal because we've always got them around, but now we're having to hunt for different things. So if you want to help us, there's also a list on our Corona page. We actually have a Corona page on the Dream Center site that you can go there and connect with us. Make sure you're following us on all the social media outlets at Dream Center Peoria. And till next time, we will see you. And again, Chuck, thank you so much for being a part of this today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Andy.
Thanks again for listening to the Dream Center Peoria podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode. If you know of anyone that would be interested in hearing about what we just talked about, we would encourage you to share this episode with them. Be sure to stay tuned for future episodes. Thanks.